Is the mayor's group violence reduction strategy working? How he's defending the results of the program's third attempt in Baltimore and why the numbers tell a different story. As the month of August comes to an end, we look back at the lives claimed, plus how this year's violence is comparing to previous years. The controversial topic of redistricting is back for Howard County schools. Fox 45 News looks at how many families could be impacted by the proposed changes.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 4.
I'm scared.
I don't feel safe here at all.
Baltimore residents voicing frustration and fear as a crime crisis grips the city. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala.
I'm Kai Jackson. As the city approaches its deadliest year ever, city leaders seem to be staying the course, even as many demand change. We have live team coverage. Alexa Ashwell breaks down violence in August. The mayor claims success as murders drop slightly year over year.
But first, Mayor Scott is also touting the success of a violence reduction strategy that has been tried before. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost has been investigating the data. She joins us live with how the mayor is defending the program. Mackenzie?
Yeah, Mary and Kai, the city has tried the group violence reduction strategy several years now, and the mayor says that it's working. But some experts that we spoke with and the data that we dug through suggest that it may not actually be stopping the city's bloodshed. Another shooting in the Southern District this week. Leftover crime scene tape marking the investigation in Pigtown, adding to the growing tally. Homicides in the Southern Police District sit at 44 as of Thursday. That's only one less than all of 2021. The neighboring Western District has 26 homicides, and that's where the group violence reduction strategy is being implemented. GVRS is a national strategy, working with people known to be involved in crime, creating an opportunity for them to leave a life of violence. The plan is in its third try in Baltimore. The mayor and his team touting the efforts as a success.
We continue to see notable reductions in gun-related violence incidents, to include a 33% reduction in homicides year to date.
We have engaged over 180 folks as a part of this work.
But the data suggests lives aren't being saved. Rather, the violence is simply moving across police district lines.
GVRS isn't a success if more people are bleeding and they're just doing it elsewhere.
Sean Kennedy with the Maryland Public Policy Institute projects the city will see record number of homicides this year, and the city's already on pace to surpass 300 for the 8th year in a row. Using Baltimore police crime data, the Northeast District has 11 more homicides today already than it did in all of 2021.
While the leaders in Baltimore and the police department spin their wheels on GVRS, the people of Baltimore are losing out not only on tax dollars, but in lives. More people are dying just elsewhere in the city.
But when we press the mayor on the data, looking at other districts, though, the homicides are up. Mayor Scott doubling down on GVRS as it's working. Do you believe that GVRS is really stopping crime, or does it looks like it's pushing?
No, it's no we analyze it. There's no displacement, and we know this is Baltimore, right? Western District crime typically is Western District crime.
Scott locking GVRS in to stay.
But we're doing it the right way this time, not the failed way that they did 2 times before when they tried to rush too quickly.
No one wants to admit failure, so GVRS unfortunately is here to stay because people are going to continue to lie and spin tales about how it's a huge success.
While looking at the map and data indicates crime may be moving.
GVRS is truly the zombie policing strategy, and no one has the wherewithal or the weapons to kill it.
And the city continues to face a crime crisis. Now, the mayor says that previous attempts to implement GVRS citywide failed because they tried to do it too quickly. He says that he does have plans to implement this strategy in other police districts. It's just unclear when that will become reality. We're live tonight. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Mackenzie, thank you. Well, gun violence takes another young life in Baltimore City. Somebody shot and killed a 19-year-old last night right near Morgan State University. The university now confirming the victim was a contracted campus security guard. It happened at the Marble Hall apartment complex, which houses some Morgan State University students, just after 9. Police say the victim was not a student. Still, the Morgan State community is on edge.
Really shocked because I'm actually planning to attend Morgan, and to hear that a school that I'm attending to get, shot It's weird. I think it's really sad. The city, goes through a lot on a daily basis. So I think it's really emotionally sad to hear that unfortunately somebody was shot at the school.
It was very scary, and it was giving me like anxious type feelings.
If you have any information on this incident, call Baltimore Police or Metro Crime Stoppers. Meanwhile, Baltimore police are asking for your help in a possible abduction case. Last Friday, police were called to a possible abduction site on Liberty Heights Avenue near Druid Hill Park. They're now looking for the woman seen in these security camera photos. They were taken close to the scene. The woman was seen getting into a dark blue Dodge Charger or Challenger. Anybody with information should contact Baltimore police.
An arrest is made this week in a homicide case in August. 44-year-old Dante Sims was taken into custody Tuesday. 2 weeks ago, police responded to an overdose call at Park Avenue and West Saratoga Street. When they arrived, they found a 35-year-old man with a gunshot wound to the chest. He died shortly after. Sims is accused of killing the man and has been charged with first-degree murder.
Well, Fox 45 News is checking the numbers after Mayor Scott pointed out homicides were slightly lower this August compared to last August. Overall, homicides and shootings remain up compared to 2021. Alexa Ashwell continues our team coverage with the latest statistics. She is live with calls for more to be done. Alexa.
Yes, Mary, as you said, homicides, non-fatal shootings, and overall violent crime remain up compared to this time last year. As for this past August, there were 26 homicides, including the shooting death of 15-year-old Nikayla Strouder, police say, at the hands of a 9-year-old. There were also a number of shootings and homicides involving multiple victims, like the double homicide on Wabash Avenue or the mass shooting in Northwest Baltimore. 7 people were shot, one of those victims killed as they sat in a park in the middle of the day. Fox 45 News questioning the mayor then on why the people of Baltimore should trust his crime plan is working. Mayor Brandon Scott also addressing this question on the radio this morning.
Our police department has taken 1,600 weapons off the street this year. That's more of any year in that time in recent memory. That's more than in 2014 when we had 500, 600 more police officers. The work is being done each and every day.
I am not satisfied with where we are. I'm not satisfied even though for the month of August, we had less people killed in the month of August than we did last year. Still far too many for me.
Statistics also show citywide assaults are up compared to this time last year. You may recall the large fights that happened in Federal Hill just this past August, prompting some city leaders to again call for more to be done. More on that at 5. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Thank you, Alexa. That brings us to our question of the day. Is your neighborhood safer today than it was a year ago? So far, 100% of you who voted say no. We'd like to hear from you. Make your voice heard by going to foxbaltimore.com/vote.
Well, Baltimore police are asking for help finding the parents or guardians of this little baby. Officers found the infant in an alley on Broning Highway near Danville Avenue in East Baltimore. The baby was in a stroller, half clothed. If you have any information, call 911.
And take a look at this. A car flips on Falls Road this morning near 42nd Street. This is in Hamden. One of our photojournalists caught this scene. The driver and 2 children in the car were hurt, but are expected to recover.
Well, new tonight, a Baltimore City couple has been arrested in connection with the January 6th Capitol riot. They are Corrine Ann Williams and Tyrone McFadden of Cherry Hill. Authorities say the two posted a picture with another person from inside the Capitol building on that day. They say Google records and CBC footage also shows the two were inside the building on January 6th.
Happening right now in Howard County, School Superintendent Dr. Michael Martirano is presenting his new redistricting plan to the school board.
And that meeting just got underway. Fox 45's Amy Simpson joins us live. Amy, what can you tell us about this proposal?
Yeah, Mary Kaya, the district is calling this the Attendance Area Adjustment Plan, and this as Howard County is preparing to add a new school to the mix. In Jessup today, construction underway at High School 13. Howard County Public Schools' brand new high school set to open next fall. And adding another school to the county means changes are coming to ease overcrowding and balance classroom seats nearby. Howard County Superintendent Dr. Michael Martirano releasing these proposed district maps, which would mean high school changes for more than 2,500 students. According to his proposal, High School 13 would receive students from Hammond, Howard, and Longreach high schools. The plan also shifting some students currently districted to Mount Hebron and Reservoir. The remaining 7 high school districts in Howard County would remain unchanged. Redistricting is a topic that's known to draw ire.
Move! Improve, not move!
And intense emotions in this school district.
It shouldn't have gotten this far, and you know it.
Back in 2019, parents and students seen waving kids before politics signs.
The superintendent's proposal, as it's written today, is flawed due to lack of data, lack of evidence.
As Howard County Schools last went through the process of redrawing district lines. Just 3 Septembers ago.
We do not want to be pawns in your little overcrowding chess game.
Now fast forward to 2022. District lines are up for debate once again. The Board of Ed scheduled to make its final decision this November. And this superintendent's proposed district map is already garnering quite a bit of chatter on social media. Now, parents, students, community members, whoever wants to weigh in will have a chance to do so, the first of potentially 3 public hearings scheduled for next Wednesday night. Reporting live, Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
Amy, thank you. Well, you may soon be able to edit your tweets, but it's going to cost you. More on the new feature.
The Ravens lose an important piece of their cheer squad for the season. Why Poe won't be flying along the sidelines until 2023. But first, a controversial housing group that caused chaos at City Council returns to Baltimore. Why a councilwoman and the group's founder are at odds over their methods.
And a nice looking afternoon, comfortable humidity. Open the windows on the way home or maybe keep the air on for a little bit. 89 at 5 p.m. Rest of the commute is just sunglasses weather, mid to upper 80s. I'm going to let you know how long the dry weather lasts into Labor Day plans and my Weather Authority forecast.
Fox 45 News, winner of 17 2022 regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
In a city in crisis, tension between a Baltimore City Council member and a group putting on a housing event in the city.
That's right. City Council President Nick Mosby invited the group and its leader to a city council meeting about dollar homes back in April, and that meeting erupted into chaos.
At one point, the group leader got into a shouting match with Councilwoman Odette Ramos.
I have been working in this field for 30 years.
Mr. Marks.
I am the
Mr. Marks. Oh, Councilwoman.
I just did.
Mr. Marks.
Well, now Councilwoman Ramos is warning Baltimoreans not to go to that upcoming event.
Keith Daniels spoke with both sides. He has the latest.
Outside Baltimore City Hall, Councilwoman Odette Ramos standing up and speaking out with a warning for potential home buyers in Baltimore. Stay away from NACA.
Since the disaster of a hearing in April, we've learned a lot more about this organization.
The Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America, or NACA, which is HUD approved, promotes what it calls the best deal out there for low to moderate income families seeking home ownership and housing counseling, among other services. The group's latest event happening in Baltimore for thousands of potential homeowners in about a week, dubbed the Dream Event. But Ramos believes the event and group are no dream, instead a nightmare.
A lot of people reached out to me saying that, you know, they've been waiting for a long time. All the appointments always get canceled to try to, you know, get their house and, you know, sometimes getting, you know, not so great deals.
But Bruce Marks.
So she hasn't done her homework. She's making accusations which are unfounded.
NACA's CEO and founder says Ramos's push to muddy his group's name is fueled simply by politics and personality.
She's doing that because we criticized her. 40% of all the properties in her district are owned by outside investors. So we think she should care more about her constituents than being, you know, thin-skinned, where we attacked her out there for not doing the right thing.
I've been doing this work for a long time to make sure that people are not in shady deals. And so it's very important to me that we're working with organizations and helping organizations and letting people know if organizations aren't going to work for them.
We are very proud of our track record. We're very proud of the advocacy that we do to help Baltimore residents.
Whenever I see something that's going to hurt Baltimore, I always call it out. That's what I've always done. And so this is exactly the same way.
Well, NACA says it has helped more than 5,000 Baltimore homeowners save their homes from foreclosure. Still, Councilwoman Ramos says she is not convinced. After this contentious city council meeting in April, Council President Nick Mosby apologized to the staff at City Hall. However, 6 city council members didn't feel that was enough. They called on the city council president to apologize to the city as a whole.
So, how do we feel about the weather today, man?
Oh, I think it's a 10. It's beautiful.
It is nice out, right?
It's
nice. Warm, but it's a nice warm,
it's beautiful.
Right? Yeah.
89 degrees, though. I mean, it's almost hot, but the humidity levels, you know, when they say, you know, it's the heat, it's not the humidity, it's humidity, not the heat.
Right.
That's the case today for sure. And it looks like as we head into the next couple of days, we're still going to hold on to some of this nice low humidity, especially tomorrow. During the weekend, though, I think it's going to start getting a little more uncomfortable again. Winds out of the west-southwest at 9 miles an hour. Still, it's warm air, 89 with sunshine, blazing sun here on the Mile 1 house cam, but the humidity still nice and low at 28%. Dew point at 52 dry degrees. And when we talk dew points, it's a measure of moisture in the air, literally. And really why the dew point matters is because it's kind of the comfort factor. The lower that number is, like it is today in the low 50s, the better it feels. And we are feeling, oh, so nice, even though it's 89 degrees. Remember, you know, just a couple of weeks ago, it was 89, 90 degrees, but the humidity was just stifling, even just a few days ago. 89 degrees now here in Baltimore. We're at 88 at Cockeysville and Westminster, 87 at Bel Air. Temperature at 89 at Elkton and 87 at Annapolis, 89 at Laurel right now. On the HD radar, super quiet. Got our latest weather maker that's down to the south with showers and thunderstorms. This a cold front that's kind of scoured out all that humidity and all the extreme heat. And in fact, tomorrow, maybe even a couple of degrees cooler than we've seen for today. There are the showers and storms. Once again, there's a front, and we continue with that nice, less humid air all the way through the end of the week. But over the weekend, things start to slowly change. Things begin to fall apart again as the wind starts switching southerly once again. That brings moisture back in, and also at least a risk of some showers and storms. Now, out in the tropics, we have it now. Danielle, our fourth named storm of the tropical season. This forming over the North Atlantic. This actually could become a Category 1 hurricane, but it will likely affect nobody except the fish. Then there's this one that's down in the south with at least about a 70% chance of development that's moving its way over the central Atlantic and eventually could make a little bit of a turn up toward perhaps Bermuda. We'll have to watch it for the East Coast, but I really think it makes that hard right turn way too early to give us any impacts here by any stretch of the imagination, at least with these computer model trends as we head through the Labor Day holiday weekend. Actually, it even looks like it goes east of Bermuda at this point, and then there's a low chance of development that's way out in the eastern Atlantic. That looks like it could at least briefly become a tropical depression before conditions become less conducive for development there. All right, overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning, temperatures settling into the 50s a lot of spots. By about 7:30, 8 o'clock, we're already bouncing into the 60s to near 70. And tomorrow, another very, very pleasant day, low to mid 80s, lots of sunshine, and then falling back into the 70s for tomorrow evening as we enter the Labor Day holiday weekend. Up near 89 on Saturday, humidity begins to come back. We're at 90 on Sunday with showers and thunderstorms later in the day, maybe a spot shower or storm, we'll say. Better risk of some rain and thunderstorms Monday, although 87. And then it looks like it dries out just in time for heading back to work and school.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, typos may soon be a thing of the past on Twitter. The company rolling out an editing feature to premium users later this month. It's been testing the feature internally. The edit function has been one of the most requested upgrades. The function will give users 30 minutes to make changes to their message after publishing. Modified tweets are labeled with an icon and timestamp. Users will be able to see past versions. The premium service costs $5 a month. Well, the state is investing millions into state parks. Why proponents say this will help battle both climate change and inequity. Federal law enforcement trying to bust a multi-state drug trafficking ring. How you can help. And the O's are getting some help with their postseason push from rookie Gunnar Henderson. Morgan Atzett joins us live in the studio to break down his amazing debut. He's got the best hair in the biz. That's coming up next. Well, as the Orioles make a postseason push, they are now getting help from the top prospect in baseball. Gunnar Henderson made his presence felt in his major league debut. Morgan Atzett joins us live to break down his incredible performance. Morgan?
Mary, when these players, especially those with the pressure of being baseball's top prospect, envision their MLB debuts, Gunnar Henderson topped it full stop. In the starting lineup at third, helping the Orioles win during a postseason push to get a wild card, and he also produced. Henderson's the youngest bird at 21 to debut since Manny Machado did 10 years ago. Henderson 2 for 4 last night, and the O's win over Cleveland 4-0. His second at bat right there, like a Hollywood scene, a home run where his helmet flipped off and he cleared the bases with that flowing blonde hair. It was a sight to see, and debut Henderson will never forget with his family watching on.
I didn't really feel any nerves today. It could have been that I got about 45 minutes of sleep last night, so that probably didn't help. But yeah, I didn't really feel any nerves out there, and just went out there and was myself, and felt like it was a pretty good day. It was a pretty special feeling being able to do that for my first hit, and just being able to see all the guys in front of the dugout. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, Poe will be back. For all the kids out there, Poe will be back.
But not this season. The Ravens have placed Poe on the injured reserve with a season-ending knee injury suffered while taking on children in the Ravens' final preseason game last Saturday. It's funny, but like it's not funny. Poe just juked too hard and tore his ACL, or whatever that is called, on a bird leg. Another Poe did take over after the injury in the second half, but the Ravens do not have an official backup mascot for Poe. John Harbaugh said the Ravens will find a replacement. A national search is underway. Mary?
No, thank you. Too hot in there, I think. Well, college football on Fox is back with a Big Ten matchup. Penn State travels to Purdue. Coverage begins with the pregame show at 7. Kickoff is just after 8. You can catch all the action on Fox 45. And Fox 45 News at 10 will air on our sister station, WNUV. Gas prices are falling, but Russia may be trying to end that trend. How U.S. and European leaders are working to keep costs down. A Baltimore mother says the school district failed her son, what she's doing to prevent her daughter from going through the same struggles.
A report card for the nation. I'm Christine Frizan with a look at some new numbers that show widespread learning loss for America's school children.
She will never touch city schools. Never. No. They have failed not only my son, but a lot of other people's children.
Fox 45 News is your back-to-school headquarters as a new school year gets underway. Some Baltimore City schools are facing problems. Several schools don't have air conditioning and were forced to close early for the first week of school.
And that's on top of many other issues, from grade changing to overinflated enrollment numbers. Well, we have team coverage of the problems plaguing students and they're facing as they return to the classroom. In just a moment, Christine Frizzell looks into the learning loss caused by the COVID-19 pandemic.
First, one mother says she won't be sending her daughter back to Baltimore City Public Schools and is choosing to homeschool instead. Fox 45's Maxine Stryker spoke with her, and she joins us with her story. Maxine?
Well, Kai, Nicole McDonald tells me that sending her daughter to Baltimore City Public Schools was never an option after she says her son didn't get the proper education he deserved at Augusta Fells. And while her daughter had previously attended a Catholic school in the city, she says even that wasn't up to her standards.
As a new school year begins, most kids are heading back to the classroom.
And this is our first year.
But this year, Nicole McDonald's daughter, Mia Moore, will be staying home with her.
So it was a very easy decision for this year to homeschool my 9-year-old.
McDonald says she's experienced firsthand the troubling trends inside Baltimore City schools. Her son, Kyrie, attended Augusta Fells, a school where an explosive report uncovered grade changing and over-reporting of students.
When he reached Augusta Fells, he declined rapidly. He was marked for hundreds of days that he was there and hadn't attended the whole school year.
In June, the Maryland Inspector General for Education confirmed more than 12,000 failing grades were falsely changed to passing in Baltimore City schools over a 5-year span.
It's a circus.
And earlier this year, a lawsuit was filed by parents against city schools, accusing them of wasting tax dollars and failing to provide an adequate education to generations of students.
The children are always left behind. It never is about the children. It's about now it's a scandal here, a scandal there, a scandal here.
It's precisely these reasons McDonald felt she couldn't send Mia Moore to city schools.
She will never touch city schools. Never. No. They have failed not only my son, but a lot of other people's children.
And while homeschooling has proven to be a commitment and sacrifice.
The really hard part about it is just finding out the grade level and the certain things that they should be learning during that age.
McDonald feels it's her only option.
I've never imagined a world where you have to worry about sending your child to school. It's ridiculous.
For her daughter's future.
The city is going downhill. And if we do not protect our youth, we will not have a city. We won't have one.
Now, Nicole says that she also plans to homeschool her 3-year-old grandson, Messiah, when the time comes. In fact, she says she knows many parents who have already chosen to go this route, and she's late to the party. Reporting live in Baltimore, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Maxine, thank you. Baltimore City schools without air conditioning will close again tomorrow. You can see this statement right here. Early dismissal due to heat, August 31st through September 2nd. Happening all week long this week, first week of school. City School CEO Dr. Sonia Santelisa says school leaders are working around the clock to make sure all schools will have working AC by the end of the school year.
A wasted week. It's a lot of talk, but non-performance. They overpromise and underperform. The reality is this: nobody holds any of them accountable, and they're very busy covering each other's butt.
Well, students here in our area and across the nation are starting the school year amid a teacher shortage. First Lady Jill Biden, an educator herself, and top administration officials met with education and business leaders yesterday to strategize on how to best address the shortage.
There are so many other future educators out there who want to teach, but decide against it or decide to leave because so many obstacles stand in their way.
The White House is partnering with several job search firms to help school districts recruit and hire more teachers. Officials say states should consider raising teacher salaries using money from the American Rescue Plan. Well, a federal study shows a drop in math and reading scores for kids during the pandemic. A branch of the U.S. Education Department conducted the study, and this data focused on 9-year-old students. The study shows reading had the biggest decrease in 30 years, and math scores had their first ever decrease. According to the study, the average math score for 9-year-old students fell 7% between 2020 and 2022. For reading, it fell 5 points. More data is set to be released later this year.
Well, this afternoon, national correspondent Christine Frizzell brings us an inside look into those numbers and the fears that they're bringing about.
School is now back in session, but even before the first test has been given, we now have a deeper understanding of the new education landscape in this country, severely altered by COVID-19. A just-released report on reading and math scores for 9-year-olds shows the trend already known as pandemic learning loss in stark numbers. Reading scores down 5 points between 2020 and 2022, the biggest drop since 1990. And math scores, which dropped for the first time ever, are down 7 points.
It's disturbing, but it's not surprising, keeping in mind a year and a half ago, over half of our schools were not open for full-time learning.
Dig deeper and the numbers show a growing gap between higher and lower performing students and between different races as well. Math scores plummeting 13 points for black students, 8 points for Hispanic students, and 5 points for white students, with no change reported for Asian or Native American students.
What the widening gap, the racial achievement gap, shows us is that our students of color in particular are in systems that are not responsive to their needs.
Jeannie Allen is an advocate for school choice and blames remote learning done ineffectively, as well as mask mandates, also pointing the finger at teachers' unions, who she says played an outsized role during the pandemic.
They prevented students from going back as soon as it was actually safe. They instilled fear in their educators.
New warnings as well. The impact could far outlast the time kids were out of the classroom.
Not only will their skills decline, but their confidence will decline. And sometimes it's difficult to get that confidence back up.
Meanwhile, the people who could help the most are now in short supply. America's teachers retiring, quitting, or moving on to new careers for a host of reasons, including low pay, a lack of support, and a new wave of aggressive behavior from parents and politicians alike. I'm Christine Frizzell reporting.
Fox 45 News is your back-to-school headquarters, and we're committed to investigating any problems your kids run into this year, whether it's teacher shortages or a lack of bus drivers. Call our news tip line. That number is 410-467-5595. You can also send us an email to news@foxbaltimore.com or chime in your pictures and videos on the Fox 45 News app.
Federal investigators have joined the search for a fugitive wanted in a multi-state drug trafficking ring. Alexa Ashwell has a preview for tonight's Maryland's Most Wanted. Alexa?
Mary, investigators say this Howard County man was taking part in a multi-state drug trafficking ring, helping pump drugs, including PCP, into local communities throughout the greater Baltimore region.
While the drugs may be a social ill, the violence and the crime that comes with those drugs is a problem that we need to lay to rest immediately. Wherever there's drugs, there's guns. And wherever there's guns, there's the potential for violence.
How investigators say this suspect was getting the drugs, the sting operation that ended in a high-speed chase, and where authorities believe he may be hiding. That's tonight on Maryland's Most Wanted. Back to you.
All right, Alexa, thank you. We are taking a live look at East Baltimore right now, where police are reporting a shooting. This is North Rose Street. It's not clear what's happening there right now, but you can see evidence markers on the ground, those orange cones, and you do see the police crime tape kind of flapping in the wind in front of our camera. So there is a police presence there. We will keep you updated as more information becomes available about, again, an apparent shooting on North Rose Street. Millions of dollars are being put into state parks. Representatives gathered at Carr's Beach, that's in Annapolis, to announce a round of funding from the Great Maryland Outdoors Act. $162 million is going towards state park maintenance, improvement, staffing, and creating new parks. Now, in addition to the funding, Carr's Beach is now also a state partnership park.
This is about much more than just dollars going into the state park system. It is about the state's future in so many ways. It is about climate change, which I tell you, it is real, it is dangerous, and it is very, very close time-wise.
That was former Governor Paris Glendening talking right there, who says this is also about equity. The Partnership Park program means Carr's Beach, which was once a refuge for Black Marylanders who couldn't use other beaches during segregation, will now be managed by the State Department of Natural Resources.
Western leaders, including the president, are meeting tomorrow to limit Russian oil prices. Leaders from Canada, the UK, Germany, and other G7 countries will try to set a price cap on Russian oil to limit the skyrocketing cost of energy and hopefully help slow global inflation. The International Energy Agency said last month that high oil prices have allowed Russia's oil revenue to increase despite a drop in exports.
President Biden is set to make a primetime speech tonight addressing what he calls a threat to democracy. At recent campaign events across the country, he's ramped up his criticism of Republican candidates, specifically those who support former President Trump. And at 8 o'clock in Philadelphia, the president is expected to give an address urging Americans to vote Democrat and outlining his plans for the country in the coming years. We'll have more in his speech tonight at 10 o'clock. Sarah Palin has lost her bid for a political comeback. Palin was defeated by Democrat Mary Peltola in a special election for Alaska's only U.S. House seat. Peltola is the first Alaskan Native American and the first woman to win that seat. She'll be serving the remaining months of late Republican Don Young's term, who represented Alaska for 49 years before he passed away in March.
Well, the state capital of Mississippi is without water still after floods damage its treatment plant, while residents are getting more frustrated as the service interruption drags on.
A new poll shows Americans will publicly say one thing while privately thinking another on some key hot-button political issues. I'm Kayla Gaskins in Washington.
And if you're going to be going for a walk this evening, perfect weather for it, although still warm at 7 p.m., 85, but low humidity and comfortable 70s to near 80 into the evening. I'm going to let you know how long the low humidity lasts. It can't last forever. And I'm going to tell you when it comes back in my Weather Authority forecast.
Well, making headlines right now, a new study shows a significant number of Americans admit they tell people what they believe others want to hear rather than what they really think about key political issues, particularly. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins has a look at the impact that could have.
So the term for this phenomenon is called self-silencing, and it's really skewing how we understand the public's view of key hot-button political issues. Americans increasingly keeping their true beliefs to themselves.
It's more about a culture of walking on eggshells. You know, people are just afraid to talk about politics.
Emily Atkins studies polling for the Cato Institute. She says the problem is getting worse.
Because they're afraid of losing friends or of, maybe getting fired from work or, missing out on a job opportunity or a promotion because people would, seek to punish them because they didn't agree on some political idea.
Populous published a new study on this phenomenon. Results showing 59% of people will publicly say they think mask wearing effectively stops COVID-19, but privately, only 47% actually believe it. And when it comes to education, the study found parents are less concerned with teachers talking about gender identity and race than they say publicly. Abortion gets tricky. People overall are more likely to publicly support abortion, even if privately they disagree with it. But when looking at just Republicans, the study found those on the right disagree with overturning Roe v. Wade more than they're willing to say out loud. According to Atkins, nearly all political and demographic groups self-censor to some degree.
Overall, conservatives are self-censoring the most, but so are liberals and moderates.
Atkins saying the only group who feels they can safely share their views are those on the far left. This comes at a price. Populous co-founder Todd Rose telling Axios, when we're misreading what we all think, it actually causes false polarization. It actually destroys social trust, and it tends to historically make social progress all but impossible. And as another election season approaches, polling experts point out it's private opinions that are the best indicator of how people will vote. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
Developing right now, while animal health officials thought they had seen the worst of the bird flu, apparently it's back in the Midwest. North Dakota just confirmed another bird flu case in a non-commercial backyard flock. Birds have been quarantined and euthanized. Minnesota recently reported bird flu in 2 commercial turkey flocks, and Indiana reported a case in a hobby flock. Federal data shows more than 40 million birds have been killed in the United States as a result of the bird flu this year. It's the worst outbreak since 2015, which cost farmers 50 million birds. Jackson, Mississippi is facing a water crisis, as we've been telling you, and it's unclear right now how long that will last. An emergency pump has been installed with the goal of increasing water pressure. Residents have been without reliable water since the city's main water treatment plant was hit with flooding and failed. The city of 150,000 residents has resorted to handing out water bottles, calling in the National Guard, and having prison inmates help with distribution, but it's still not reaching everybody. The people of Jackson, Mississippi are angry.
Because this don't make no sense. We ain't had no water for 2 months almost. So you can't afford to buy water when you're in a fix they come, and nobody on this side of town is giving away any water.
Well, the water treatment plant has had issues for years. Residents have been on a boil water notice for more than a month. Officials hope for a solution coming in the coming days, but they don't know how long that will take to repair the water system.
Well, we say out with the old and in with the new, and out with the old is meteorological summer. That ended yesterday, and in with the new is meteorological fall. That now goes for September, October, November. But for the months of June, July, and August, meteorological summer. For us weather folks, we kind of pair off the summertime into 3 even months for calculations. 77.8 degrees the average temperature, which is actually almost 2 degrees higher than average. How about that? And a total of almost 13 inches of rain, which falls about where it should. But interestingly enough, July was nearly 2 inches above average. If you remember all the showers and thunderstorms, very active month of July rainfall wise. But June and August kind of sandwiched around it. below average rainfall. 89 degrees, sunshine right now, winds out of the west-northwest, or actually west-southwest rather, at about 9 miles an hour. Humidity at 28%. Look at that dew point. That's a measure of moisture in the air. That's why the Mile 1 Taos Cam looks so magnificent and dry, and you can kind of clearly see through. It's because there's no haze, no humidity. The dew point, that's our measure of moisture in the air. And the reason why it matters is we usually say, you know, it's not the humidity, it's the heat, or it's not the heat, it's the humidity. Well, it's that kind of case today with that dew point at 55 degrees or less, and those temperatures still near 90. It feels great outside because that dew point is lower. Earlier in the summer, even just a couple of days ago, these types of temperatures, they were accompanied by dew points in the 70s. So it was very, very sticky. So lesser moisture equals more comfort. 89 degrees right now here in Baltimore. We're at 87 at Columbia, 89 at Cockeysville, 89 at Laurel. Temperatures mid to upper 80s, Bel Air, all the way up to Elkton. HT radar looks good, except there are some showers and thunderstorms down to our south, but that's with our latest weather maker that already came through. And those showers will remain there. It stays less humid, nice all the way through tomorrow. Humidity does once again begin to rise as we head into Saturday, and notice those winds switching southerly. That's going to start dragging some of that moisture that's down to the south back up to the north. So could have a couple of showers and storms to round out the Labor Day holiday weekend on Sunday afternoon and potentially on Monday as well. And then in the tropics, things getting active now after a very quiet stretch during the early and middle portion of the season. Danielle could become a hurricane soon. That's over the northern portion of the Atlantic. There's also a high chance of development now pushing its way somewhere just to the north of the Windward Islands, eventually probably moving south and east of Bermuda, so should not have impacts on the East Coast. And then a low chance of development now that is over the eastern portion of the Atlantic Ocean. If you're going to be heading out and about this evening, temperatures falling from the 80s back into the 70s, lows in the 60s overnight tonight. We're back at 87 tomorrow afternoon with sunshine, 89 Saturday, more humid, spot shower storm later Sunday. Could have some spotty showers and storms as well for Labor Day plans on Monday.
A day in court for Donald Trump's lawyers fighting the FBI over hundreds of potentially confidential documents found in his Florida home. I'm Scott Thuman in Washington with new developments.
All eyes are on Serena Williams this week, but controversy off the tennis court. I'm Ryan Smith in Washington with a look at another tennis great sidelined now due to America's vaccine mandate.
Happening right now, controversy off the tennis court. One of the world's greatest tennis players not able to participate in the U.S. Open due to his vaccination status. The National Desk, Ryan Smith, has more.
Novak Djokovic, the former top-ranked tennis pro, once again forced to withdraw from competition, this time at the U.S. Open, all because he is unvaccinated. This week, all eyes are on Serena Williams.
The greatest of all time.
The superstar taking center stage at the U.S. Open, but another tennis great making headlines off the court. Novak Djokovic, the former #1 ranked player in the world, denied a chance at capturing his 22nd major championship. Writing on Twitter just days ago, "Sadly, I will not be able to travel to New York this time for the U.S. Open." Djokovic is unvaccinated against COVID-19 and thus not allowed into the United States.
I am actually surprised this requirement still exists.
The CDC states non-U.S. citizens and non-U.S. immigrants must be fully vaccinated to travel to the U.S. by plane. Dr. Monica Gandhi, an infectious disease expert at the University of California, San Francisco, calls the mandate inconsistent with other current COVID policies.
Essentially, unvaccinated and vaccinated people should not be treated differently when it comes to quarantine, isolation, wearing a mask, all of these other recommendations by the CDC. So this is an outlier to still say that unvaccinated travelers can't come into our country.
Public trust in the agency is slipping. Overall, only 29% of American adults report having a great deal of confidence in medical scientists to act in the best interest of the public. That's down from 40% in 2020.
Overall, just dropping this requirement and saying unvaccinated travelers can come in would really help increase trust, consistency, and accountability.
Djokovic was caught in an international legal battle earlier this year, deported out of Australia because of his vaccination status right before the Australian Open. He's made it clear he will skip any tournaments and travel to countries that require a vaccination. In Washington, I'm Ryan Smith for the National Desk.
Coming up on Fox 45 News at 5 o'clock, potential changes ahead for hundreds of students in Howard County as leaders get ready to redraw boundaries. Why parents are speaking out against the plan. A 19-year-old is shot and killed near Morgan State University. New information we're learning.
It's 5 o'clock. I'm Mary Bubala.
I'm Kai Jackson. Breaking news right now. A teen is shot and killed overnight near Morgan State University. New information we're learning at this hour.
Superintendent's proposal as it's written today is flawed due to lack of data, lack of evidence.
Potential changes ahead for hundreds of students in Howard County as leaders get ready to redraw boundaries, why parents are speaking out against the plan.
And you're looking at the moment. Lawyers for Donald Trump showed up to a Florida court this afternoon. We're awaiting a decision on whether an outside legal expert will be appointed to look over documents seized by the FBI.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 5.
We have breaking news at 5 o'clock. A young child has been found in East Baltimore. Police need your help to find her parents.
That's right. Somebody found this baby at around 11:30 this morning. The child was located on Broning Highway, which is right across from the fire station. Now take a good look at this cutie. We are told the baby was found in a stroller, half clothed. If you have any information about this child, please call 911 or police. We have posted this story on our Facebook page if you'd like to share it to help.
More breaking news right now. Fox 45 News is learning more information about a 19-year-old shot and killed near Morgan State University overnight. Now, we have confirmed he's a security guard contracted by the university. The teen was shot in the head just after 9 o'clock last night. That shooting happened at an off-campus apartment a mile away from the university. We spoke with students on campus today.
Really shocked because I'm actually planning to attend Morgan. And to hear that a school that I'm attending to get, shot, it's weird. I think it's really sad. The city, goes through a lot on a daily basis. So I think it's really emotionally sad to hear that unfortunately somebody was shot at the school.
It was very scary and it was giving me like anxious type feelings.
Well, the teen died at the hospital. We have no word of a suspect at this hour or what led to the shooting. If you have any information about this incident, you're asked to call Baltimore City Police or Metro Crime Stoppers.
Well, that teen is now one of 240 people murdered this year in Baltimore. 26 people were killed in the month of August. Crime experts continue to warn our city could see record number of homicides this year. We have team coverage of the city in crisis.
As the violence continues, Mackenzie Frost is questioning Mayor Brandon Scott about his crime plan. But first, Alexa Ashwell has comments from the mayor this morning on crime and safety. Alexa?
Yes, Kai Mary, in an interview this morning, the mayor was quick to point out homicides this past August were slightly down compared to August of last year. But we checked the statistics. Homicides, non-fatal shootings, and overall violent crime remains up compared to this time in 2021. Mayor Brandon Scott on the violence here in Baltimore.
I am not satisfied with where we are. I'm not satisfied even though for the month of August, we had less people killed in the month of August than we did last year. Still far too many for me.
There were 26 homicides this August, including the shooting death of 15-year-old Nikayla Strouder, police say, at the hands of a 9-year-old, the double homicide on Wabash Avenue, and the mass shooting in Northwest Baltimore. 7 people were shot, one of the victims killed as they sat in a park in the middle of the day. Fox 45 News questioning the mayor then on why the people of Baltimore should trust his crime plan is working.
The work is being done each and every day.
The mayor asked the same question again this morning.
We all have to do things differently and go even deeper because things are not what they used to be. Crime is not what it used to be.
According to statistics, crime's higher. The data showing citywide homicides are up 7%. Non-fatal shootings are up 13%, and overall violent crime is up 8% compared to this time last year. The statistics also showing assaults are up. Specifically in August, this large fight that broke out in Federal Hill, reigniting calls from Councilman Eric Costello for the mayor and commissioner to do more.
I've been very clear about that throughout the budget hearings, ensuring that there's accountability in command staff at the police department, and specifically that's the police commissioner. There's an expectation that resources are being deployed to ensure that communities are safe, and that is not being effectively done, and it hasn't been for some time.
And you may recall Costello was one of a handful of Baltimore City Council members who called for a summer crime plan due to a spike in violence. Well, we checked since May, there have been more than 100 homicides. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Thank you, Alexa. Mayor Scott is also touting the success of a violence reduction strategy. It's an approach the city has tried before. Mackenzie Frost has been investigating the crime data, and she joins us live right now with how the mayor is defending this program. Mackenzie?
Yeah, Kai, we know that Baltimore City has attempted the group violence reduction strategy in years past, right? And now Mayor Brandon Scott and his team are touting this as a success in the police district where it's being piloted. But the expert we spoke with and the data we dug through suggests that this program may not actually be stopping Baltimore's bloodshed. Another shooting in the Southern District this week. Leftover crime scene tape marking the investigation in Pigtown, adding to the growing tally. Homicides in the Southern Police District sit at 44 as of Thursday. That's only one less than all of 2021. The neighboring Western District has 26 homicides, and that's where the group violence reduction strategy is being implemented. GVRS is a national strategy, working with people known to be involved in crime, creating an opportunity for them to leave a life of violence. The plan is in its third try in Baltimore. The mayor and his team touting the efforts as a success.
We continue to see notable reductions in gun-related violence incidents, to include a 33% reduction in homicides year to date.
We have engaged over 180 folks as a part of this work.
But the data suggests lives aren't being saved. Rather, the violence is simply moving across police district lines.
GVRS isn't a success if more people are bleeding and they're just doing it elsewhere.
Sean Kennedy with the Maryland Public Policy Institute projects the city will see record number of homicides this year, and the city's already on pace to surpass 300 for the 8th year in a row. Using Baltimore police crime data, the Northeast District has 11 more homicides today already than it did in all of 2021.
While the leaders in Baltimore and the police department spin their wheels on GVRS, the people of Baltimore are losing out not only on tax dollars, but in lives. More people are dying just elsewhere in the city.
But when we press the mayor on the data, looking at other districts, though, the homicides are up. Mayor Scott doubling down on GVRS as it's working. Do you believe that GVRS is really stopping crime, or does it looks like it's just pushing crime down?
We analyze it. There's no displacement. And we know this is Baltimore, right? Western District crime typically is Western District crime.
Scott locking GVRS in to stay.
But we're doing it the right way this time, not the failed way that they did 2 times before when they tried to rush too quickly.
No one wants to admit failure. So GVRS, unfortunately, is here to stay because people are going to continue to lie and spin tales about how it's a huge success.
While looking at the map and data indicates crime may be moving.
GVRS is truly the zombie policing strategy, and no one has the wherewithal or the weapons to kill it.
And the city continues to face a crime crisis. Now, Mayor Brandon Scott says that his administration does have plans to scale up the GVRS, moving it into other police districts after it's being piloted in the Western. It's just unclear when that will become a reality. We're live tonight. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Thanks, Mackenzie. And that brings us to our question of the day. Is your neighborhood safer today than it was a year ago? So far, 92% of you who voted say no. We'd like to hear from you. Make your voice heard by going to foxbaltimore.com/vote.
Well, making headlines, Baltimore police are asking for your help in a possible abduction case. Last Friday, police were called to a possible abduction site on Liberty Heights Avenue near Druid Hill Park. They're now looking for this woman seen in these security camera photos taken close to the scene. The woman was seen getting into a dark blue Dodge Charger or Challenger. Anybody with information should contact Baltimore police.
And take a look at this. A car flips on Falls Road this morning near 42nd Street. This is in Hamden. One of our photojournalists caught this sight. Now, the driver and 2 children were hurt in this accident, but they are expected to recover.
A Baltimore City couple has been arrested in connection with the January 6th Capitol riot. They are Corrine Ann Williams and Tyrone McFadden of Cherry Hill. Authorities say the 2 posted this picture with another person from inside the Capitol building on that day. They say Google records and security footage also show the 2 were inside the building on January 6th. We'll be the first to know about breaking news by signing up for News on the Go. Go to foxbaltimore.com, click on Mobile Alert Sign Up under the Station tab. Fox 45 News is your back-to-school headquarters, and we continue to look into issues facing school systems across our area.
In Howard County, a proposal to address classroom overcrowding might mean hundreds of high school students will have to change school districts in the coming years.
The superintendent's redistricting proposal is being presented to the school board as we speak. Amy Simpson has the story.
In Jessup today, construction underway at High School 13. Howard County Public Schools' brand new high school set to open next fall. And adding another school to the county means changes are coming to ease overcrowding and balance classroom seats nearby. Howard County Superintendent Dr. Michael Martirano releasing these proposed district maps, which would mean high school changes for more than 2,500 students. According to his proposal, High School 13 would receive students from Hammond, Howard, and Long Reach high schools. The plan also shifting some students currently districted to Mount Hebron and Reservoir. The remaining 7 high school districts in Howard County would remain unchanged. Redistricting is a topic that's known to draw ire.
Move! Improve, not move!
And intense emotions in this school district.
It shouldn't have gotten this far, and you know it.
Back in 2019, parents and students seen waving kids before politics signs.
The superintendent's proposal, as it's written today, is flawed due to lack of data, lack of evidence.
As Howard County Schools last went through the process of redrawing district lines just 3 Septembers ago.
We do not want to be pawns in your little overcrowding chess game.
Now fast forward to 2022. District lines are up for debate once again. The Board of Ed scheduled to make its final decision this November.
And Amy joins us now live. Amy, you've been monitoring this evening's meeting. What are you hearing?
Well, Mary, as I'm sure you can remember from the last time the district went through this process, there's a lot of components to this and a lot of emotions. The district does appear to be prioritizing limiting classroom overcrowding in the next decade or so, while also minimizing student travel times to these proposed new high school districts. But the superintendent just a few minutes ago acknowledged that the draft plan that's on the table right now is most likely not going to be the final plan that's approved by the board. He said, quote, "I've made a recommendation and it's the board's prerogative to make adjustments." But again, we know that there's already a lot of feelings and thoughts being shared about this proposal on social media. Students, parents, community members, whoever would like to weigh in will have a chance to do so. The first of at least 3 potential public hearings on this proposal, the first one set for next Wednesday night. Reporting live tonight, Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
Amy, thanks. We'll continue to follow it for sure. Well, Fox 45 News is your back-to-school headquarters, and we're committed to investigating any problems that your kids run into this year, from teacher shortages to a lack of bus drivers. Call our news tip line 410-467-5595. You can also send us an email at news@foxbaltimore.com or chime in your pictures and videos on the Fox 45 News app.
The CDC is weighing whether to approve the updated COVID boosters or not. We'll let you know when that decision is in, plus who can get that 4th shot.
A day in court for Donald Trump's lawyers fighting the FBI over hundreds of potentially confidential documents found in his Florida home. I'm Scott Thuman in Washington with new developments.
Down for the count, the Ravens have lost their mascot. What happened to Poe, and plans for his replacement.
And our weather flying high. Take a look. Some of the temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, but the humidity, gorgeous. We'll take it. 89 degrees at 5 p.m. for the evening commute, dropping down to about 80 as the commute wraps up this evening. I'm going to let you know when showers and storms could impact Labor Day holiday plans. That's up in my Weather Authority forecast.
This Fox 45 news segment is sponsored by Maryland Cycling Classic.
We are back with some live pictures from Philadelphia, the birthplace of American democracy. Tonight, President Biden will be addressing the nation from there. The president's address will focus on what he perceives as threats to democracy by pro-Trump Republicans. A new Quinnipiac poll finds 67% of Americans believe this nation's democracy could collapse. The president is calling his speech tonight the soul of the nation. It is set for 8 o'clock. You can watch it live on FOX45.com. We'll have a recap on the news at 10. Well, right now, we are waiting on a judge's decision on whether former President Trump will be allowed to have an outside legal expert review documents the FBI took from his Florida home.
In court today, his team also requested the FBI documents that might contain highly personal information.
Sinclair Chief Political Correspondent Scott Thuman takes a look at why the government says those documents should never have left the White House.
In a Florida courtroom, an argument over the boxes of documents taken from Donald Trump's home last month and who should have the power to review them. Trump's team arguing there must be an independent special master to oversee the process. Son-in-law and former advisor Jared Kushner spoke to the national desk.
Now they're basically fighting over paperwork that hopefully could have been resolved between lawyers, and all that the rate has done is it's mobilized people who already had distrust in the FBI based on the previous 4 years.
The argument over a special master, the focus on Thursday. But what about Trump's claim that the documents were technically declassified because he said so? A conservative writer cited this argument, he says, provided to him by Trump's office.
He had a standing order, there's the word I've been looking for, that documents removed from the Oval Office and taken to the residence were deemed to be declassified the moment he removed them.
But according to analysis by the New York Times, even if it's true that Mr. Trump had pronounced the documents declassified while he was in office, he clearly did not follow the regular procedures. But there's no Supreme Court precedent that definitively answers the question of whether that would make any difference.
The declassification argument, I think, is unpersuasive for several reasons. One, there doesn't appear to have been an effort to declassify the documents at the time when it should have been done, which is when he was in the White House and leaving the White House. But that process doesn't seem to have been started at all. I don't think that's going to hold any water.
Potentially significant since Trump lost the power to declassify the moment President Biden took over. In Washington, I'm Scott Thuman.
Well, we are looking ahead to the Labor Day weekend as Baltimore prepares to welcome cyclists from all over the world.
The Maryland Cycling Classic is holding its first racing event. Cyclists from more than 24 countries will be in town to compete. The 120-mile race will kick off in Sparks in Baltimore County, that's northern Baltimore County, and will end at the Inner Harbor.
The race is set for Sunday, and transportation officials want drivers to prepare for some road closures. Take a look at that map there. The cyclists are expected to enter the city around 4:30 through Falls Road. So beginning at around 1:30 in the afternoon, roads will start to close. They're going to be rolling closures, though. As soon as the cyclists are gone, they'll reopen them. There are parking restrictions downtown as well. We're told police will monitor the race and will be looking for opportunities to come up when possible.
Once it does get in the city, Baltimore City Police will be in place at different crossing points to provide some relief. They will open up traffic to cross the race course in close coordination with the event planners, of course, to make sure it is safe to do so. There's no cyclists approaching those points. Realistically, if you're not a spectator, if you're not coming to attend the event, you should stay away. The less traffic, the less conflicts we have, the safer and smoother things will go.
The race will finish at the Inner Harbor. Parking restrictions and road closures will last through at least 6 p.m. on Sunday. Head to foxbaltimore.com right now to look at the affected routes. We will also have the best spots to watch the race from because it's fun to see them whipping by.
That's right. And if you're not planning to watch the race in person, Fox 45 News has you covered. You can watch our special coverage of the race this Sunday on the CW Baltimore. Coverage begins at 1:30. A busy weekend, Mary, because on Saturday, it's the Charles Street 12-miler. My daughter's running in that. Yep.
Nice.
So we'll see how she does. It's going to be a big race.
Such a nice race, and it goes right by my neighborhood.
Yes. Yes, it does.
So I'll look for her. Maybe I'll go and
From
cheer for her.
Towson downtown.
Yes.
I would walk it at best. at best.
I know. But good luck to her. That's great.
Thank you. I'll tell
Hopefully
her.
good weather for
all of this stuff happening.
Saturday's looking great for the 12-mile, but now Sunday is going to be a little bit touch and go. There could be a late day shower or storm, but I think most of the day should be rain-free. So I think that will pull off most of this okay. But again, those cyclists, they may have to deal with a couple of showers later in the day, second half of the weekend. Toyota Asian Harbor Skycam, the heat is on still, 89 degrees, but it doesn't feel too bad. Winds out of the west at 9 miles an hour. It's a dry heat, as we say. Humidity nice and low at 30%, and dew points in the low and mid 50s. When that dew point is in the 50s, like you're seeing here on the Mile 1 task cam, look at that clear shot right now. That means that it's low measures of moisture in the air, so it feels pretty comfortable. 89 degrees here in Baltimore now, 88 at Cockeysville, 88 at Westminster. Maybe a couple of good days to enjoy the waning pool season here area-wide. HT radar does show a couple of showers and storms that are down toward Atlanta as well as Jacksonville in Florida and way out towards the west coast. But here in Baltimore, latest weather maker with some of those showers actually down to our south. A cold front has given us that nice, less humid weather. Now, tomorrow, humidity starts to creep back in a little bit. I think it'll still be a dry day, but by Saturday, that's when the moisture really does begin to get here. So you'll really start feeling it once again. Going to get a lot thicker out there. Now, out in the tropics, there's Danielle. Looks like this becomes a Category 1 hurricane over the next several days. It'll only affect the fish, though. And then there's what eventually becomes a 70% chance of development that's moving its way across the central Atlantic. That is forecast to curve back around just south in eastern Bermuda and back out to sea. But it's something that we'll watch closely since, again, it'll have that initial approach, which is in the general direction of the East Coast. So overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning, nice cool start in the 50s and 60s. And then into tomorrow afternoon, gorgeous weather. Temperatures getting into the low in the middle 80s. And that nice weather stays all the way into the first half of the weekend, although it does turn more humid on Saturday, 88, maybe a shower storm later Sunday. Better chance of scattered showers and storms for Monday as we close the pools and the beaches. And it looks like it dries out by the middle of next week.
Jonathan, thank you. 5 Baltimore mothers bonded by what they call failures from city schools, how they're fighting for change. But first, the national search underway to replace Poe, the Ravens mascot. Well, the Orioles have their eyes set on the postseason, and nothing is standing in their way. You're looking live at the skyline of Cleveland, where the Birds are facing the Guardians right now. It is a fierce battle for a spot in the postseason. The last time the Orioles went postseason was in 2016. Well, the big headline is the glorious debut of Gunnar Henderson, the top prospect hitting a solo home run for his first career hit. The 21-year-old was called up to the O's just a couple of hours before that impressive game. The Birds sweeping the Guardians 4-0. They will host Oakland at Camden Yards tomorrow. And the Orioles tweeted the video of Henderson's home run, and guess what? The Iron Man himself responded. First game, first home run for the rookie, and you have one of the greatest ever to play the game, Cal Ripken Jr., tweeting about it. Not bad. Morgan Atzett will have more sports headlines in 30 minutes. Well, the Ravens have placed Poe on the injured reserve list. The mascot suffered a knee injury during the Ravens' final preseason game last Saturday. Poe had just juked too hard and tore his ACL, or whatever that is called, on a bird leg. The Ravens do not have an official backup for Poe. Coach John Harbaugh says the Ravens will find a replacement. A national search is underway. Well, college football on Fox is back with a Big Ten matchup. Penn State travels to Purdue. Coverage begins with the pregame show at 7, kickoff just after 8. You can catch all the action on Fox 45 tonight. Fox 45 News at 10 will air on our sister station, WNUV. Well, after her child received an education in Baltimore, this mom says never again why she's refusing to let her other child attend city schools. Well, new COVID boosters can be rolled out in a matter of days. Who qualifies for the additional shots?
Project Baltimore is sponsored by the Snyder Law Group. Call 410 the Firm.
It's 5:30, and our top story is back to school. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Kai Jackson.
And I'm Mary Bubala. Fox 45 News is your back-to-school headquarters. And as classes resume, we're committed to demanding accountability on education in our area.
For 5 years, our Project Baltimore team has been investigating failures inside city schools, from a grade-changing scheme to declining enrollment and graduation. Our relentless reporting is leading to changes in state law. And tonight we have new reporting for you. Chris Papps has a story of 5 Baltimore mothers pushing for change after they said city schools failed their children.
But first, Maxine Stryker heard from another mother who says she is done with city schools.
Nicole McDonald says sending her daughter to city schools was never an option after she says her son didn't get the education he deserved at Augusta Fells. And while her daughter had previously attended a Catholic school in the city, she said not even that was up to her standards.
As a new school year begins, most kids are heading back to the classroom.
And this is our first year.
But this year, Nicole McDonald's daughter, Mia Moore, will be staying home with her.
So it was a very easy decision for this year to homeschool my 9-year-old.
McDonald says she's experienced firsthand the troubling trends inside Baltimore city schools. Her son, Kyrie, attended Augusta Fells, a school where an explosive report uncovered grade-changing and over-reporting of students.
When he reached Augusta Fells, he declined rapidly. He was marked for hundreds of days that he was there and hadn't attended the whole school year.
In June, the Maryland Inspector General for Education confirmed more than 12,000 failing grades were falsely changed to passing in Baltimore city schools over a 5-year span.
It's a circus.
And earlier this year, a lawsuit was filed by parents against city schools, accusing them of wasting tax dollars and failing to provide an adequate education to generations of students.
The children are always left behind. It never is about the children. It's about now it's a scandal here, a scandal there, a scandal here.
It's precisely these reasons McDonald felt she couldn't send Mia Moore to city schools.
She will never touch city schools. Never. No. They have failed not only my son, but a lot of other people's children.
And while homeschooling has proven to be a commitment and sacrifice.
The really hard part about it is just finding out the grade level and the certain things that they should be learning during that age.
McDonald feels it's her only option.
I've never imagined a world where you have to worry about sending your child to school. It's ridiculous.
For her daughter's future.
The city is going downhill. And if we do not protect our youth, we will not have a city. We won't have one.
McDonald says she plans to homeschool her 3-year-old grandson, Messiah, when that time comes. She tells me she knows many other parents who have gone this route, and in fact, she's late to the party. In Baltimore, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Well, Dan Lips, a senior fellow with the Foundation for Research on Equal Education, recently wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post voicing his concern for Baltimore City school students. We spoke with him, and he says parents should have more say in their children's education.
Well, I think that the main thing is expanding choice, expanding access to tutoring. We're seeing lots of states experiment with that. Arizona recently enacted a program that gave families direct control of school funding so they can hire tutors, acquire equipment for instruction, to pay for school tuition. That's the most powerful solution that Baltimore could apply to help children have a brighter chance at a better future.
The 5 Baltimore mothers who say city schools has failed their children have joined forces. As Project Baltimore's Chris Papps explains, these mothers say it's up to them to make sure their children and others with disabilities get the education they need, because they say the school system isn't doing it.
Hey! There she is. Hey, Patrice.
Just weeks ago, these women had never met.
So what's going on, beautiful ladies?
Now they speak every day. Texting, calling, on Zoom.
You be on the road, so.
Laughing together after months of feeling alone.
And I like the fact that we do hit each other up just to say hi. Right. In the morning, first thing in the morning, good morning, beautiful, good morning, sisters.
They are strangers who formed a sisterhood, united by the one thing they all have in common.
And I find it comforting in a very messed up way that, we're all going through this and we're all like coming together.
Are you picking up a Quante?
It started when Latasha Phillips came to Project Baltimore in May looking for help.
I didn't know what else to do. So that was just like, for me, that was like my last resort, which actually I'm glad that I did it.
Her son, Quante Spearman, had missed the first 140 days of school at Connections, a high school in West Baltimore. The district could not provide him with a nurse, which he is required to have. But despite missing the first 7 months of class, Quante's report card from March showed he was given grades he didn't earn and marked present when he wasn't there.
Because had I not done it, you ladies would still be somewhere stuck, and accepting something that wasn't right, not knowing what to do.
She didn't know it at the time, but Latasha's decision to come forward would inspire 4 other mothers to do the same.
It was just amazing that quick, somebody saw that story and said, wait a minute, oh my gosh, the same thing is happening to me.
One by one, they came to Project Baltimore with similar stories. 5 mothers who say their children missed a significant amount of school this past school year because city schools could not fully accommodate their disabilities. Yet all of them received report cards with grades and attendance they didn't earn.
And with this village, we can make those changes. So I'm like, y'all got the wrong moms. Like,
hopefully this group of us, of what we're trying to do, can give more people the courage to come out, and speak up, because it's definitely not just us.
And they're right. It's not just them. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, a federal law passed in 1975, ensures that students with disabilities receive a free, appropriate public education. According to the Maryland State Department of Education, Baltimore City is among the school districts in Maryland with the most IDEA violations. Between 2017 and 2022, city schools had 62 complaints filed, mostly by parents. In 50 of them, at least one violation was found. Montgomery County had 67. Baltimore County had 68. In Maryland, Prince George's County had the most, with 189 complaints resulting in a violation.
It's okay. Just keep going.
Whitney Davis recently filed her own complaint on behalf of her son with epilepsy, and the state found a violation occurred.
If it's an injustice to me, it's an injustice to all of us.
Inspired by Davis, the other moms on this call have since filed disability complaints on behalf of their sons.
It's unfortunate, but I'm glad that now I have y'all, my sisters, and I'm glad to know that I have a better support system.
Yeah. Right.
Despite 5 students from 4 schools who say they were given false grades in attendance, Baltimore City Schools has offered few answers. The district won't do an interview with Project Baltimore, but these mothers say they won't stop.
And I'm like, no, you're going to hurt me now, because I know I'm not alone.
Now you can say, I got my sisters now. I'm coming full force. I got backup.
Until they know their children are getting the education they need.
We just got to stick together.
I'm Chris Pabst.
Well, it was good seeing y'all.
Definitely.
All right. Bye.
See y'all later.
And this is Project Baltimore.
Our Project Baltimore team has been looking into the failures within some Baltimore City public schools for years. You can find all of our reporting on our website, foxbaltimore.com/Project Baltimore. Maryland state parks are seeing a record number of visitors, partly because of the pandemic.
And state officials say it's time to do more to ensure all Marylanders can enjoy these parks.
Brad Bell with our Sinclair sister station in Annapolis has more on the big funding announcement today.
With school back in session, there's plenty of elbow room on the beach at Sandy Point State Park, even on a beautiful Thursday like this. But come this weekend, it will be a different story.
From 5 a.m. onward, you've got lines at the gates.
Dean Hughes, president of the Maryland Park Rangers Association, says by mid-morning on the weekend, this park and many others will be at capacity, and the Park Service will start sending out tweet after tweet announcing day-use parks are full. Such is the demand for a place to enjoy the great outdoors.
Many of our campgrounds have been booked full from the time they opened in April all the way through the camping season.
7 News on your side reporting on the issue last year. Maryland state parks and their aging infrastructure in danger, in the words of some, of being loved to death. The situation at the parks grabbing the attention of Senate President Bill Ferguson and others.
They kept us going. They kept people outside. They kept us safe, but they also gave them that sense of community that we can do things together.
Ferguson setting up a study group which led to the passage of the Maryland Great Outdoors Act, which will send $162 million to the parks for repairs, expansion, and increased staffing.
That is putting the state's largest historical investment in state parks in this state's history.
$70 million will go towards a maintenance backlog, which is estimated at more than $100 million. Ranger Hughes says park goers will see the difference.
The money that they're going to use for critical maintenance is going to completely transform the parks that exist now.
The Great Outdoors Act also setting aside $80 million for acquisition and park expansion with a focus on water access and also parks serviced by mass transit so that you won't need a car to come to a place like this. At Sandy Point State Park, Brad Bell, Fox 45 News. Fun at the fair is happening this weekend, and next you could win a 4-pack of tickets to go. Make sure you're watching Fox 45 Morning News for your cue to call and win. On the last day of the Maryland State Fair, Sunday, September 11th, you can meet your favorite Fox 45 News anchors, reporters, and meteorologists. Make sure you stop by and say hi.
I know I'll be there. I'm hoping for some good weather. And speaking of good weather, only a few pool days left. And tomorrow, if you want to play a little hooky, or maybe if the kids get off of school early, they could head out to the pool in the afternoon. Temperatures in the 80s, low humidity still. High temperatures probably only getting to about 85 for tomorrow. I'm going to let you know when we could touch near 90 again, though, over your Labor Day holiday weekend. My Weather Authority forecast.
The next steps in vaccines to fight the current variant circulating. I'm Liz Bonus. Are we getting set up now for seasonal shots? We explain just ahead.
Beginning tomorrow, the government will stop allowing orders for free at-home COVID-19 tests. The White House says the program is ending because of a lack of funding from Congress. Officials will now preserve test supplies ahead of a potential surge in virus cases this fall. You can still order the free at-home tests for the next 24 hours. We'll have a link on our website, foxbaltimore.com/newslinks. Here's how Maryland is doing in the fight against the pandemic. The state's positivity rate has gone down. It's now at 10.5%. 1,300 new cases have been recorded. 6 more lives have been lost to the pandemic. 491 people in Maryland are in the hospital with the coronavirus. A CDC advisory committee is expected to recommend new COVID-19 booster shots for Americans 12 and older. That has many wondering if they really need another shot. Medical reporter Liz Bonus has some answers.
Hey there, everybody. These new boosters are bivalent, meaning they protect against the original coronavirus strain and the Omicron BA4 and BA5 strains circulating right now. But who should get them? And is this setting the stage for a seasonal shot, much like we get for the flu every year?
It's not targeting the brand new things that are out in space somewhere. Instead, it's targeting BA4 and 5, which we've already been exposed to.
Dr. Zach Jenkins, a Cedarville University pharmacist, says these new targeted boosters discussed by the CDC Independent Vaccine Advisory Committee today will tell us if we can stay one step ahead of the coronavirus. We've tried to do that already with 4th doses of the current vaccine now for many weeks. But today in this audio-only vaccine advisory meeting, viral disease experts said this.
The 4th dose coverage was too low to draw conclusions, but additional benefits were demonstrated against all outcomes, with slower waning apparent, especially against hospitalization.
So now the goal is to see if you get a 3rd or 4th dose with one of these newer boosters, will it work better to target the strains currently going around? Infectious disease specialist Dr. Stephen Blatt says this.
Well, I think they're going to be great, and I'm really looking forward to having the availability of this bivalent booster for patients who need either a 4th dose or a 2nd booster, or for our immune suppressed patients who really need to be boosted against Omicron.
This preprint predictive meta-analysis study, not yet published or peer-reviewed, supports what he's saying. Researchers found any boosters raise protection against the virus. Even one with the original variants boosts your body 11-fold. That gives you protection against infection for 6 months, anywhere from 50 to 87%. Variant-specific shots up that about 5%. You can start checking pharmacies for shot arrival for these newer boosters as early as next week. I'm medical reporter Liz Bonus. Now back to you.
And we understand that the CDC just approved it. Jonathan?
A beautiful late summer day. Toyota issued a Harbor Skycam showing the beautiful, gorgeous blue sky. Lots of sun, 89, winds out of the west at 9 miles an hour. Humidity low at 30%. Look at that dew point. That's a measure of moisture in the air, 54 degrees. When the dew point's in the 40s, 50s, it feels comfortable outside. Low humidity levels. Right now near 90 here in Baltimore, near 90 as well up at Elkton. 90 at Westminster, 88 at Frederick, 84 down Easton Way, and temperatures in the mid-80s up and down the eastern shore. Rain and thunderstorms miles and miles away. This actually kind of co-located, if you will, with our latest weather maker that came through a cold front, and that's what's brought in that really nice weather for us. Actually wasn't bad yesterday and still pretty good for today with that less humidity settling in, and it stays pretty nice tomorrow as well with the sunshine. But notice those southerly winds arcing back in. Yes, that does mean it does become muggier by Saturday. There could even be a shower or storm approaching by Sunday. Now out in the tropics, guess what? We've got Danielle here. Winds now at 60 miles an hour. This is probably going to curve around. Could become a Category 2 hurricane over the next several days. The good news is it really is just going to affect the fish and no one else. And then down way into the tropics here in the central Atlantic, eventually this could become a tropical depression. It's a 70% chance of development in the central Atlantic, and that is continuing to move its way gradually west and northwestbound. It's forecast that this is going to make a recurve, as we call it in meteorology, back to the north and back to the northeast south of Bermuda. So that should not impact the United States. But again, since it is moving that general westerly direction, it's something we'll watch. There's also a low chance of development that's now coming off the African coast. So overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning, lots of 50s, 60s. Open the windows, enjoy once again. By tomorrow afternoon, we vault back into the low to mid 80s. Humidity levels stay low. And a really nice stretch of weather actually coming our way, at least through about Saturday before things start to fall apart. 61 clear tonight. Tomorrow, 87, lots of sunshine and warm. Saturday, we got the Big 12 miler going on down Charles Street. That's looking pretty good. It's going to be warm, though. 88 degrees. Humidity is going to come up, too. And the big bike race on Sunday, spot shower or storm in the afternoon, high 88. For Labor Day, some spotty showers and storms as well. We'll have to dodge those with highs around 87.
Jonathan, thank you. Another quarterback gets paid. How Russell Wilson's extension in Denver affects Lamar Jackson's potential deal here at home. Ahead on Sports Unlimited.
Another quarterback gets paid. This one resets the market favor back to NFL owners. The Broncos extended their new QB Russell Wilson for 5 years, $245 million, 165 of that guaranteed. So not fully guaranteed like Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, and below Kyler Murray's guaranteed money in Arizona. Wilson is above Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen for guaranteed dough, but those deals seem like 100 years ago with all this quarterback money flying around. Will any of that money come to Lamar Jackson? We don't know. Only two people know that. The Ravens MVP quarterback and GM Eric DeCosta. This has been kept close and tight for many reasons, and no agent, a big reason why it's not done yet. Jackson said he wants to cut off talks by week 1. The Ravens are off today through Monday. That's really when week 1 starts on the practice field. Game day at the Jets is 10 days away. Jackson is under his 5th year right now for $23 million. The Ravens have already made changes to their initial 53. As expected, defensive lineman Brent Urban returns 24 hours after cut. Veteran running back Kenyon Drake added. 2 drafted rookies went to the IR. The focus now turns back to these 3 key pieces behind me that are starters. Left tackle Ronnie Stanley, running back J.K. Dobbins, and corner Marcus Peters are on the active roster. Dobbins and Peters with weeks of practices after their knee injuries. Nothing for Stanley and his ankle, just individual work closed to the media. All are question marks for week 1.
I know Ronnie's very determined to be really at his very best when he comes back.
I think that's kind of part of his thinking on it. So I trust him with it, you know, and I know he's going to do the right thing and be out there as soon as he can. And I'm hopeful for sooner rather than later, for sure. JK's looked better every day. You know, you guys, again, you saw him early in practice. He looks better every day. He looks good. His quickness is kind of back, you know, so I'm excited about where he's at.
The O's postseason push looking better after Game 2 in Cleveland. The Birds win last night thanks to Gunnar Henderson's impressive debut, moved the Orioles to 2 games back from the 3rd and final AL wildcard and kept the Twins away. He was in Cleveland yesterday, batting 5th and playing short today. And D.L. Hall is officially back with the Orioles tonight. He will work out of the bullpen.
Morgan, thank you. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 6 o'clock, the mayor says his strategy is working, but violent crime numbers show otherwise. Fox 45 is pressing him on why he's doubling down on a crime prevention plan that hasn't worked in the past. Breaking news just in, the CDC has signed off on new COVID booster shots. We have more information coming up.
A 19-year-old shot and killed near Morgan State University who was working security for the campus. New details we're learning about that shooting. Mayor Scott says his new approach to crime is working, but the numbers say homicides and shootings are up this year. We're demanding answers about why he believes a plan that's failed twice before is what's best for the city. A Baltimore couple told FBI agents they did not storm the Capitol, but authorities say they have proof the two were inside the building on January 6th.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. Fox 45 News at 6 starts right now with the exclusive Fox Track, your Baltimore Minute.
Another shooting in the Southern District this week. Leftover crime scene tape marking the investigation in Pigtown, adding to the growing tally. Homicides in the Southern Police District sit at 44 as of Thursday. That's only one less than all of 2021. The neighboring Western District has 26 homicides, and that's where the group violence reduction strategy is being implemented.
Superintendent's proposal as it's written today is flawed due to lack of data, lack of evidence.
As Howard County Schools last went through the process of redrawing district lines.
just 3 Septembers ago.
We do not want to be pawns in your little overcrowding chess game.
Now fast forward to 2022. District lines are up for debate once again. The Board of Ed scheduled to make its final decision this November.
Outside Baltimore City Hall, Councilwoman Odette Ramos standing up and speaking out with a warning for potential home buyers in Baltimore. Stay away from NACA.
Some new information on a deadly shooting near Morgan State University last night. The man who was shot and killed was a security guard contracted by the university. The shooting happened within a mile of the school's campus. The security guard, just 19 years old, was shot in the head. He was taken to Johns Hopkins Hospital where he died from his injuries. Neighbors and students planning on attending the school say the shooting is hard for them to take in.
To hear that a school that I'm attending to get, shot, it's weird. I think it's really sad. The city, goes through a lot on a daily basis.
This shooting is the 240th homicide of the year in Baltimore. At this time last year, we had only seen 224 deadly incidents. Mayor Brandon Scott says his crime prevention plan is helping, even though similar strategies have failed in the past. Mackenzie Frost asked him why he believes the plan is working.
The city has attempted to implement the Group Violence Reduction Strategy, or GVRS, for several years before. The mayor and his team says that it's working in the police district where it's being piloted. But the expert that we spoke with and the data we dug through suggests that it may not actually be stopping the city's bloodshed. Another shooting in the Southern District this week. Leftover crime scene tape marking the investigation in Pigtown, adding to the growing tally. Homicides in the Southern Police District sit at 44 as of Thursday. That's only one less than all of 2021. The neighboring Western District has 26 homicides, and that's where the Group Violence Reduction Strategy is being implemented. GVRS is a national strategy, working with people known to be involved in crime, creating an opportunity for them to leave a life of violence. The plan is in its third try in Baltimore. The mayor and his team touting the efforts as a success.
We continue to see notable reductions in gun-related violence incidents, to include a 33% reduction in homicides year to date.
We have engaged over 180 folks as a part of this work.
But the data suggests lives aren't being saved. Rather, the violence is simply moving across police district lines.
GVRS isn't a success if more people are bleeding and they're just doing it elsewhere.
Sean Kennedy with the Maryland Public Policy Institute projects the city will see record number of homicides this year, and the city's already on pace to surpass 300 for the 8th year in a row. Using Baltimore police crime data, the Northeast District has 11 more homicides today already than it did in all of 2021.
While the leaders in Baltimore and the police department spin their wheels on GVRS, the people of Baltimore are losing out not only on tax dollars, but in lives. More people are dying just elsewhere in the city.
But when we press the mayor on the data,
looking at other districts, though, the homicides are up.
Mayor Scott doubling down on GVRS as it's working.
Do you believe that GVRS is really stopping crime, or does it looks like it's just pushing?
No, it's no we analyze it. There's no displacement, and we know this is Baltimore, right? Western District crime typically is Western District crime.
Scott locking GVRS in to stay.
But we're doing it the right way this time, not the failed way that they did 2 times before when they tried to rush too quickly.
No one wants to admit failure, so GVRS unfortunately is here to stay because people are going to continue to lie and spin tales about how it's a huge success.
While looking at the map and data indicates crime may be moving.
GVRS is truly the zombie policing strategy, and no one has the wherewithal or the weapons to kill it.
And the city continues to face a crime crisis. The mayor says previous attempts to implement GVRS citywide failed because they tried to scale it up too quickly. Now the mayor says that he does have plans to implement this in other police districts. It's just unclear when that will become reality. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Well, homicides were down in the month of August compared to last year, but overall they are up from 2021. The 26 killings this month include the death of a 15-year-old who police say was shot by a 9-year-old, a double homicide on Wabash Avenue, and a mass shooting in North Baltimore that left 1 dead and 6 others injured. Statistics also show citywide assaults are up compared to last year. Well, Baltimore City police are investigating after a 35-year-old man was shot in southeast Baltimore. Happened along Rose Street just before 4 this afternoon. The victim is expected to survive. He is the 507th person to be hurt in a shooting so far this year, compared to 454 people hurt this time last year. Baltimore police are asking for your help tonight in a possible abduction case. Last Friday, officers responded to a possible abduction on Liberty Heights Avenue near Druid Hill Park. They are now looking for this woman seen in these security camera photos taken close to the scene. The woman was seen getting into a dark blue Dodge Charger or Challenger. Anybody with information should contact Baltimore police.
Now, a Fox 45 News Alert in 3, 2, 1.
Breaking news to report: a Baltimore City couple arrested in connection to the January 6th Capitol riots. They are Corinne Ann Williams and Tyrone McFadden of Cherry Hill. Authorities say the two posted this picture with another person from inside the Capitol building on that day. They say Google records and CCTV footage also shows the two were inside the building January 6th. The couple now faces charges including disorderly conduct and entering a restricted building or grounds. This afternoon, in a separate January 6 case, a former New York police officer was sentenced to 10 years in prison. It's the longest sentence for crimes related to the Capitol riots so far. The former officer used a flagpole to assault officers during the riots. Mary?
Kai, thank you. Well, as hundreds of thousands of kids return to Baltimore City schools, one mother says she is never sending her kids there again. The school system has been plagued with poor test scores, classroom attendance issues, scandals involving grade changing. And this year, students in over 20 schools are home early because their classrooms don't have AC to keep them safe in the heat. Our Maxine Stryker is talking with one parent about what led her to take her children's education into her own hands.
As a new school year begins, most kids are heading back to the classroom.
And this is our first year.
But this year, Nicole McDonald's daughter, Mia Moore, will be staying home with her.
So it was a very easy decision for this year to homeschool my 9-year-old.
McDonald says she's experienced firsthand the troubling trends inside Baltimore City schools. Her son, Kyrie, attended Augusta Fells, a school where an explosive report uncovered grade changing and over-reporting of students.
When he reached Augusta Fells, he declined rapidly. He was marked for hundreds of days that he was there and hadn't attended the whole school year.
In June, the Maryland Inspector General for Education confirmed more than 12,000 failing grades were falsely changed to passing in Baltimore City schools over a 5-year span.
It's a circus.
And earlier this year, a lawsuit was filed by parents against city schools, accusing them of wasting tax dollars and failing to provide an adequate education to generations of students.
The children are always left behind. It never is about the children. It's about now it's a scandal here, a scandal there, a scandal here.
It's precisely these reasons McDonald felt she couldn't send Mia Moore to city schools.
She will never touch city schools. Never. No. They have failed not only my son, but a lot of other people's children.
And while homeschooling has proven to be a commitment and sacrifice.
The really hard part about it is just finding out the grade level and the certain things that they should be learning during that age.
McDonald feels it's her only option.
I've never imagined a world where you have to worry about sending your child to school. It's ridiculous.
For her daughter's future.
The city is going downhill. And if we do not protect our youth, we will not have a city. We won't have one.
And that was Maxine Stryker reporting. Fox 45 News is your back-to-school headquarters, and we're committed to investigating any problems that your kids run into this year, from teacher shortages to a lack of bus drivers. Call our news tip line, 410-467-5595. You can also send us an email at news@foxbaltimore.com or chime in your pictures and videos on the Fox 45 News app. Well, here's a look at today's top trending stories. Number one, a car flipped over on Falls Road this morning. Check out these pictures. Happened just by 42nd Street in Hamden. One of our photojournalists was driving by and caught the scene. The driver of the car and 2 children passengers were hurt, but are expected to recover. Number 2, a baby was found abandoned in an alley this morning. Police are asking for the public's help in finding the child's parents or guardians. The child was found in a stroller near Broning Highway and Holabird Avenue. Anybody with information on this child should call Baltimore police. Number 3, the Orioles are getting some help with their postseason push from rookie Gunnar Henderson. In his first game and just his second MLB at bat, he hit a home run to extend the Orioles' lead against the Cleveland Guardians last night. Henderson was considered to be the top prospect in all of baseball before he was called up. The Orioles are now just 2 games out of earning a playoff spot. The team will be back at Camden Yards tomorrow night. Updated COVID shots could soon be available to the public. The latest on the decision to distribute new and improved vaccines.
And if you're headed out to the fair this evening, temperatures fall through the 80s back into the 70s. Low humidity, gorgeous on the Midway. I'm going to let you know how it looks for the rest of the Labor Day weekend coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
A day in court for Donald Trump's lawyers fighting the FBI over hundreds of potentially confidential documents found in his Florida home. I'm Scott Thuman in Washington with new developments.
Now, a Fox 45 News Alert in 3, 2, 1.
Breaking news to report to you right now. A panel of advisors has just voted to recommend Pfizer's new COVID-19 booster shots for people 12 years of age and older. The CDC is expected to adopt the recommendation, the last step before the shots can go out to people. Well, the agency's advisory committee met this afternoon. The FDA already approved both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines earlier this week. The new vaccines specifically target the Omicron subvariants that are more infectious than the original and the Delta variant strains. Well, the Pfizer shots could go into arms as soon as next week. The next advisory panel vote will happen on Moderna's version of the booster shot to be used only in adults. Mary?
Guy, thank you. Well, right now we are awaiting a judge's decision on if former President Trump will get his way and be allowed to have an outside legal expert review documents taken by the FBI from his Florida home last month. Sinclair's chief political correspondent Scott Thuman takes a look at the DOJ's position in the case and why they say Trump should never have taken them after he lost the election.
In a Florida courtroom, an argument over the boxes of documents taken from Donald Trump's home last month and who should have the power to review them. Trump's team arguing there must be an independent special master to oversee the process. Son-in-law and former advisor Jared Kushner spoke to the national desk.
Now they're basically fighting over paperwork that hopefully could have been resolved between lawyers, and all that the raid has done is it's mobilized people who already had distrust in the FBI based on the previous 4 years.
The argument over a special master, the focus on Thursday, but what about Trump's claim that the documents were technically declassified because he said so? A conservative writer cited this argument, he says, provided to him by Trump's office.
He had a standing order, there's the word I've been looking for, that documents removed from the Oval Office and taken to the residence were deemed to be declassified the moment he removed them.
But according to analysis by the New York Times, even if it's true that Mr. Trump had pronounced the documents declassified while he was in office, he clearly did not follow the regular procedures. But there's no Supreme Court precedent that definitively answers the question of whether that would make any difference.
The declassification argument, I think, is unpersuasive for several reasons. One, there doesn't appear to have been an effort to declassify the documents at the time when it should have been done, which is when he was in the White House and leaving the White House. But that process doesn't seem to have been started at all. I don't think that's going to hold any water.
Potentially significant since Trump lost the power to declassify the moment President Biden took over. In Washington, I'm Scott Thuman.
Fox Triplecast this afternoon. Maya 1000 cam and the Toyota East Inner Harbor Skycam bathed in beautiful sunshine. HT radar showing the latest weather maker. A cold front sinking down to the south that's brought in some of this really nice weather, which is on the first day of meteorological fall. So that means yesterday we wrapped up 3 months of meteorological summer, June, July, August. So the average temperature at 77.8 degrees was about 2 degrees higher than average for meteorological summer. And 12.91 inches of rain was just a little bit above average. But boy, July, we had about 2 inches above average on our rainfall there. And of course, meteorological summer is just a kind of easy way for us weather folks to sum up the summertime in 3 easy months instead of kind of worrying about different dates. So that's why it's June, July, and August. Now, as we enter meteorological fall, we're at 88 degrees, winds variable at 6, humidity at 33%, dew points in the 50s, temperatures in the mid to upper 80s right now. Gorgeous low humidity, rain and thunderstorms down to our south. That's with our latest weather maker pushing away. That's a cold front, and that cold front bringing us a nice, less humid, gorgeous weather. The fair weather high pressure continues to impact us all the way through tomorrow, even Saturday, a dry day, although humidity is going to start rolling back in. Now, out in the tropics, acting up. Yes, as we head into September, it is the peak of tropical season, and it has been stone cold quiet across the tropics much of the summer. So we've been kind of riding high here. But unfortunately, now we have Danielle that could become a hurricane. That's over the central northern Atlantic. We also have a high chance of development that looks like it'll recurve back out south of Bermuda and away out into the open Atlantic. And there's another system that's got a low chance of development that's just off the African coastline. Overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning, temperatures fall into the 50s and 60s. Another stellar day for our Friday, but warmth and humidity builds over the weekend, and there could even be some showers and storms. I'll let you know when the chances are greatest in my exclusive 10-day forecast.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
A beautiful spectacle in the skies across Charleston, South Carolina Wednesday evening. After sunset, a cloud close to the horizon cast a shadow across the sky and onto the clouds. It's a phenomenon that's more noticeable when the atmosphere is hazy. And there's beauty in the Texas Panhandle, gorgeous horses enjoying their surroundings.
Want to see your weather photos and videos on TV? Click Chime In on this station's website to share.
Well, bad weather, missed connections, and pilot shortages could be a headache if you're not prepared this holiday weekend. What you need to know before you travel. Across the country, families are getting ready to travel over the long Labor Day weekend. And even though pandemic restrictions have been lifted, there are still some delays you need to prepare for. Theron Zahn from our sister station in Seattle has more on what you should expect.
Looking behind me, you can see that a lot of travelers are already trying to get out of town here at SeaTac Air Travel. Demand is back to pre-pandemic levels, but both weather and system capacity could keep you from getting where you want to go. With the holiday weekend almost here, jetting away could get complicated for travelers. Cancellations have already been a big problem. Just yesterday, FlightAware says more than 800 flights in the U.S. were canceled, another 3,500 delayed. Many of the problems are being caused by bad weather in the Northeast, having a ripple effect on air traffic across the country. If your flight is canceled by something the airline is in control of, you may have the right to be rebooked on the next available flight. You may also be able to be booked on another airline. But flights that are canceled because of weather are not covered by this.
Everyone's got frustrations and delays, and everyone's, kind of understaffed, and try to be patient with it as best as possible. Get there early.
Something else that will get travelers' attention, airline pilots will be picketing across the country and here at SeaTac tomorrow. Many of them pilots for Delta, demanding a new contract. It's not a strike, so pickets shouldn't take pilots out of the cockpit. But it is a sign of trouble in the industry right now. According to the Department of Transportation, there was a jump in air travel service complaints of 34.9% from May to June of this year. And complaints are up 270% from before the pandemic. The advice you've likely heard before has never been more true. Don't come to the airport before checking to make sure your flight is on schedule. And remember, there's just not as many airline employees as there were before COVID, so the system is pretty much busting at the seams. Everything is going to take you longer getting through the airport, so you want to plan for that time-wise. Reporting at SeaTac, Theron Zahn, KOMO News.
Exclusive 10-day forecast takes us to the mid to upper 80s a day, almost carbon copy of today for tomorrow. Saturday, a little more humid, a high 88. Shower or storm chance later on Sunday. Labor Day on Monday. That may be the wetter of the 3 holiday weekend days. Saturday, Sunday looks good, but showers and storms probably to wrap things up. And that continues on Tuesday before a drying trend as we head into the end of next week.
Jonathan, thanks. Remember, college football on Fox is back with a Big Ten matchup. Penn State travels to Purdue. Coverage begins with a pregame show at 7. Kickoff is just after 8. You can catch all the action on Fox 45. Fox 45 News at 10 will air on our sister station, WNUV. That's all for Fox 45 News at 6. Family Feud is up next. We'll see you back here after the game. Good night.